We're going to take a moment now and look at the next three modules combined together, because they have in effect many things that coordinate between them, and I want to emphasize a little bit on each one as we go through it. Here we're going to be talking about a very, very important subject, and that is the nutritional content and nutritional labeling of many retail products that are out there, obviously food products. Many of our students are very much unaware of the nutritional values or lack of nutritional values of some of the products they buy. And again, within marketplace literacy, it's not exactly the perfect environment to try to teach a nutritional class. However, there are some very, very good and very important components about understanding nutrition labels that we can bring to bear for our students that will be very, very important to them. At this time, we also talk about the idea of unit price. Once again, reinforcing that lesson that we started all the way back when we were talking about portion sizes. That for a given unit price, we can judge what the actual value of the product we're trying to buy is. Unit price gives us that insight into what's the best value for my money and for my dollar or for my lira, for my pound, for my guilder. Any of those things we can talk about this idea of unit price. And in this case, I'm going to speak specifically about how it attends to the idea of the North American market. First of all, the nutrition labels. Nutrition labels have become much simpler and easier to understand over time. The federal government here in the United States requires almost every food product to have a nutritional label placed upon it. And it gives us an idea about some very, very important health components to that material. First of all, how much fat is in the material. And what we mean by fat is, not does it make you fat, but how much actual soluble fats are contained within the serving size that's going to be judged by the nutrition label. Many other things are included there too. How much salt or sodium is included? Are there specific vitamin requirements that are there that could be utilized or the consumer needs to know about? Is there a certain caloric value for that? How many calories? In other words, how much food energy is available to us in that particular serving size? And this is the point where you can ask people, again, your students in your audience, about their particular dietary needs or concerns. By the way, would you be on are you diabetic? You can't necessarily ask the question, are you diabetic? But the question is, if you were diabetic, what would be important about this label to you? Oh, the amount of glucose that's contained in a certain serving size. The amount of carbohydrates. Oh, yes, those are very important things. Well, let's look at the label and see if we can understand what that means. People with fat restrictions or may have heart disease or other ailments of the circulatory system. The amount of saturated fats in a particular serving size or product could be very important to them. So again, we take the opportunity to examine the nutrition label and make some very relative judgments about them. Is something with higher fat or lower fat better for you? Is something with very high sodium or lower sodium better for you? And we make those judgments. And obviously those ideas are that something with lower fat and lower sodium is going to be more healthy for you. So this is a place where we just touch on that fabric. And again, if you need to go deeper, you obviously can. But once again, I will tell you, we are not a nutritional training class. So we want to treat this precisely, but again, not too much time on it. Let the individual get the knowledge they need to understand those basic things and then move on. In my experience, this next item, the idea of unit price, is one that I have more trouble conveying to my students than almost anything else. But it is miraculous when they understand it, because then they are able then to be empowered to look at the different serving sizes and different quantities of product and make a very, very accurate judgment to the value of what we get. And remember, marketplace literacy is much about value. What do I give and what do I get? And in this case, we really put numbers to that idea. Let me give you an example. In the material, in North America, we use the idea of serving sizes and packages of Coca-Cola. We look at a very small 6-pack of Coca-Cola. We look at a larger 12-pack, and then we look at a case. And then we actually say, okay, which is the better buy? Well, obviously the 6-pack of Coca-Cola costs less in terms of its absolute value in terms of dollars, $3.50 perhaps for a 6-pack. But in reality, it's the larger quantity of Coca-Cola in the case quantity that we receive the best value in terms of the total amount of Coca-Cola we get for the total amount of money we get. Obviously, the pricing for the smaller quantities is higher. Why? It's more convenient, and most people would probably buy a more convenient size. And again, the people who create those prices and marketers are very astute to that. They know for a fact that many times we're going to walk in and only buy a very small thing. We also use the example of the purchase of milk in the North American model for marketplace literacy. Now, this is a great example because we also look at the single serving size of milk, which may be 8 ounces. Then we look at the price of a gallon of milk. Currently in North America, a gallon of milk might be $3.50. You might even find that single serving size of milk costing as much as $1. So if we were to compare the volume of milk we get for the $1 and the volume of milk that we are attempting to buy in a gallon, we'd notice that the gallon of milk, if priced at the same rate the single serving size of 8 ounces would be, might cost us as much as $16. We use this example to help our students understand the difference between the sizes of products that they're buying, the costs associated with them, and how, again, that many times marketers use value pricing to actually get more money from us for the convenience and the size of a smaller serving size. For you, and in terms of the training that you're trying to do, the idea of unit price can really play home here because, again, it gives us a per ounce cost of the cost in the 8 ounces of milk in the single serving and the 144 ounces in the gallon of milk. By letting your students examine those differences and playing with just a little bit of math, if they can, they'll very quickly understand that looking at the unit price, the amount per ounce might be something as low as 15 to 16 cents per ounce. Gives them the key that they need to make the best value purchase for their needs. We bring that back to the idea of Coca-Cola one more time. What is the best value? Well, in the example that we bring to bear with the what's in the manual, the larger quantity of Coca-Cola has the lowest per unit cost in terms of price per ounce. And so your students can very quickly start getting the hang of looking at unit prices. We also exemplify some opportunities within the store to examine unit prices. Many stores, especially some of our large big box stores, give an indication of the unit price of the particular product. Milk, cereals, oils, cooking oils, dry goods, all of these have a per unit price sticker on most of our large commercial stores that we go in, the larger big box stores. So again, it's a great opportunity for you to give this key learning to your students so they too can provide savings for themselves. And once again, ask the question, what would you do with the money that you saved? Now, let's look at the last component in this module.